Hello, my name's Scott Davis and welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for June 29th to July 5th. And human design is a synthesis of four ancient wisdom systems as a bridge to understanding our potential to discover our path to making decisions that are correct for us as individuals. And those traditions are astrology, the I Ching, the Hindu Brahmin chakra system, and the Kabbalistic tree of life. So we're going to take a look at how these systems work together in human design. Well, we start by looking at the sun and the planets, the nodes, the earth, and the moon, all in the wheel, much like we would in astrology, except instead of comparing them to zodiological constellations or to each other by the angles that we make, we look at them in relation to the hexagrams of the I Ching, which are these stacks of lines that you can see on the outside of the body, on the outside of the wheel. And then those hexagrams of the I Ching are then mapped to specific locations in the body graph. And on the 29th, we have the sun. It's in Cancer, but it's also in the 52nd hexagram. And you can see the stack of lines at the bottom here. They are always numbered from bottom to top. And this one is yin, yin, yang, yin, yin, yang. Basically, what we're looking at, these shapes inside the body graphs are called centers. They represent the next stage in our evolution as human beings, from having 7 chakras to now having 9 centers, with the mutation occurring in 1781. The pathways between the centers are called channels and from the Kabbalah. These black strips of paper on the diagram here represent gates activated by the sun, the planets, the nodes, regardless of whether they form a channel. I'm not going to be following the moon in this demonstration because it moves very, very fast. It activates 3 to 4 gates in the day, and it would just make this just an epic hours and hour long presentation. And so anyway, let's just start. We got the sun. It's in the 52nd hexagram. It's mapped, which is mapped to this opening in an energy channel called the gate. So this is the 52nd gate here of inaction, keeping still, mountain, temporary self-imposed inaction for the benefit of assessment. It's located in the root center in a collective logic energy path in the understanding circuit called the channel of concentration, the design of determination that connects to the 9th gate of focus, the taming power of the small. And I've found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person. So I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. So on the 29th, we have the following activated gates. We have the sun in the 52. The earth is in the 58. The north node is in the 32. The south node is in the 42, and Mercury is in the 12th gate, Venus in the 16, Mars in the 57, Jupiter in the 62nd gate up here. Saturn is in the 38. I'm sorry, Saturn is in retrograde and in the 1st gate. Uranus is in the 51st gate. Neptune retrograde in the 37. Pluto retrograde in the 38. And at the very beginning of this report period, Mercury is retrograde in 12, like I had said earlier. So obviously, not every gate activation forms a channel. But this information can be very helpful if you know your human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And you can get your human design chart by going to jovianarchive.com, click on the button that says Get Your Free Rave Chart, and then just enter in your birth information. So anyway, this is neutrino forecast. It's basically just a weather report. And no matter what the weather is, your individual strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ra Uru Hu said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. As we begin this week, there are no channel definitions due to the transit field, and there'll be no definitions for the whole week. We're going to be looking at the sun's Ravi-Ching line values daily, because 70% of the neutrinos that we receive come through the sun. And as Ra said in Design Perspectives number 56 in his presentation titled Living with the Program with Ra Uru Hu, the lines of the day, when he was talking about these shifts in line values, he said that we can take advantage of these themes of the day. Now, of course, if your strategy and authority does not lead you in that direction, you can always just notice how the program is affecting others in your environment. Excuse me. So let's get started. June 29th, the sun is in the 52nd gate of inaction, keeping still, the mountain, temporary and self-imposed inaction for the benefit of assessment. The sun is in the 4th line, so in the 52nd 4 of self-discipline, exalted, perfected self-discipline and restraint that deals easily and wisely with impulsive temptations. The energy for restraint, which recognizes the value of stillness and focus. Detrimented, though responsive to the needs of a principled control based on understanding of conditions, there's a tendency due to the natural expansiveness to doubt and restlessness. Restless energy and doubt in the face of restraint. And 4th line days are more outward in perspective, and have these themes of friendship, companionship, networking. So they're great for social interaction. People are more open to networking and being friendly with the 4th line energy. But then later on the 29th, the sun moves up into the 5th line. So it starts here in the line of the opportunist, moves up into the line of the heretic. Again, 52nd gate, the shift happening at 6:38 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. All the times I'm going to be giving you in this report are going to be Eastern Daylight Time, so you want to convert them to your local time zone. And the shift to the 5th line of the 52 is described as explanation. In times of inaction, the often important ability to explain one's position. Exalted, the often terse but exceedingly accurate statement, where inaction and focus can lead to detail. Detrimented, it's a convolution whose enigmatic nature is normally misunderstood with unpredictable circumstances, where too much inaction can lead to a loss of focus and not to detail. And 5th line days are heretical. So it could be a day of suspicion, but also the 5th line has this quality of universalization, where something spreads very quickly and reaches a lot of people. Like a YouTube video or a Facebook posting that goes viral. But the other thing with 5th line days is a great deal of suspicion and paranoia on the 5th line day, which can impact the nature of our relationships. Projection and seduction are also themes of the 5th line. And also on the 29th, Jupiter moves from the 62nd gate to the 56th gate. And Jupiter in human design is generalized law, the electromagnetic central operating theater for the way in which the solar system operates. Living by the law can gain great good fortune. Activations in our human design charts tell us about the law we must live by. To benefit from the generosity only comes from deep obedience to honoring your own law, your individual strategy and authority. Jupiter in the 56th gate that's the gate of stimulation, the wanderer. Jupiter enters in at the 1st line, so the investigative line of the 56, which is quality, exalted the practical sense that even short-term activities should be of value, expression of practical ideas that have value, detrimented the ego drive to make an impression that will misuse energy in trivial pursuits, the drive to stimulate that will express any idea no matter how trivial. And then on the 30th, the sun moves into the 6th line. So it's up here in the roof of the hexagram and the role model line. Again, we're in the 52nd gate. And the sun in the 52-6 is peacefulness, exalted a harmonic and balanced attunement that is at ease regardless of the situation, a lack of pressure in times of stillness, detrimented delusion as a substitute for genuine tranquility. Given the positive nature of this position, the delusion may be just as effective as the real thing, where a pacification of the energy is extreme, pressure real and or imagined does not disturb stillness. And 6th line days, are days when the 6th line's looking at what's coming up next. And what's the next thing? Ra talks about not getting stuck with your head in the clouds because you'll end up having something run into your kneecaps. It's a day when we feel a lack of focus in what's going on because folks are looking beyond their immediate environment. And like 3rd line days, there's certain dangers associated with this. Not seeing the car coming in your environment or a bill coming that you just forgot about or whatever, because there's this process of looking beyond what's happening in the current field. And then July 1st, the sun moves from the 52nd hexagram to the 39, and the Earth moves from the 58 and joins Pluto in the 38. So both the Earth and Pluto are in the 38th gate of the fighter opposition. This shift happens at 5:48 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, with the Sun in the 39th gate over here of the Provocateur, obstruction, the value of obstruction in provoking analysis, assessment, and reevaluation. The Sun, of course, now we're in a new hexagram, so we're in the first line of the 39th hexagram of disengagement, exalted the determination when confronted by obstacles to withdraw, but only temporarily, the energy to provoke by refusing to confront obstacles, detrimented disengagement with the accompanying indecision as to when to re-engage, the refusal to confront obstacles without the capacity to know when to engage. The indecision is also provocation. So now we're in the lower trigram. We're in the first, second, third line. These have more of an inward perspective, whereas the upper trigram is more transpersonal. So people get really caught up in their own process. The theme of the first line day is fear. It's an anxiety that needs to be investigated. So it has this quality of a day to study, not really a day to act on something. It's a day to look into things, but not to jump up and make something try to happen. So it's a good day to deal with the things you don't understand, can't make sense of, or simply just don't know. And then on the second, the sun moves into the second line. So it's moved from the investigator up into the line of the hermit. Again, 39th hexagram and gate. The shift happens at 5:24 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 39-2 is described as confrontation, exalted, the instinctual and direct assault of obstacles, the energy to provoke through direct assault, detrimented the principle of preservation that tempts one to go around the obstacle that should be tackled head on, and emotional discomfort when direct assault is essential. And then the second line day, hermit kind of energy here, the hermit energy that we're dealing with. people are waiting for something. They're waiting for a call. They're kind of, again, caught up in their own trip because it's the lower trigram. So not the best day to have a big social event because people are going to want to hang out more at home. And then also on the second, Venus moves from the 16 gate over to the 35. So in human design, Venus is very powerful, deeply misunderstood according to Ra. It brings morality, natural law, in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us. So what disturbs you on a moral level, your design and personality Venuses tell you about a moral dilemma that you're going to have to work with in your life. So if you don't act with moral clarity, Ross says that Venus can be very unkind in its retribution. In the 35th hexagram, Venus is exalted in the first and second lines. So in the 35th gate, it is change, progress. By design, progress cannot exist in a vacuum and is dependent on inaction. Venus in the 35 in the first line is humility, the ability to accept rejection. Exalted, the artist that accepts rejection as part of the process. Acceptance of change and rejection as part of the process. And then on the third, the sun moves up into the third line. So now we move up into the line of the martyr. Again, 39th gate here. The shift happening at 4:59 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is responsibility. The avoidance of confronting obstacles if failure puts others at risk. Exalted, the great benefic whose first consideration is for the larger framework. The energy to provoke through self-sacrifice. Detriment, the often disastrous assumption that others are more at risk if the obstacle is not confronted. The energy to provoke through failure to make sacrifices. Third line days, so now we're up into the line of the martyr. So if you think about the themes of this, it's bonds made and broken, a trial and error process, a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. So it's also a day to be careful what's going on in your environment, what's on the road, what's happening, that a door doesn't open up into you or something like that. So it might be a day too that we have a bonds made, or maybe have bonds broken, or made and broken in the same day. Third line day is about trial and error, and things bump into you. So it's a material plane day, and so it could be good for business or work on the material plane. But you have to be careful because things can go wrong. But those things that go wrong are here to lead us towards discovery. And then on the fourth, the sun moves up into the fourth line up here, upper trigram, again, 39th hexagram, shift happening at 4:35 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where it's detrimented and described as temperance. Careful evaluation and assessment before taking action. Detrimented, the faulty belief that willpower alone can overcome any obstacle regardless of circumstances. The energy to provoke that ignores circumstances. And fourth line days, again, we're moving from the lower trigram to the upper trigram. So this is a shift in perspective. From an inward perspective to looking more outward. Again, we talked about the themes of friendship, companionship, networking. Good day for social interaction and being friendly, being social. And then on the fifth, the sun moves into the fifth line. So we're back to the line of the heretic, where we started the week. In the 39th hexagram at this point. Shift happening at 4:11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 39.5 is described as single-mindedness, the rare ability not to overcome but bypass obstacles. Exalted, the imagination to establish new patterns that make obstacles irrelevant. The imaginative energy to provoke through bypassing obstacles. detriment is simple hard-headedness. Though less exalted, it can often result in the success and gather support by its very determination. The energy to provoke through hard-headedness. Again, fifth line day, the heretic, it's suspicion, it's universalization, it's paranoia, although, there's projection. And so sometimes that paranoia is valid. If they're actually out to get you, then it really isn't paranoia. So, these kind of things really can impact the nature of relationships. Seduction is also a fifth line theme. So this week, the sun is continuing through the hexagrams, the 15, the 52, the 39, and the 53, which are associated with the Provocateur God's head, which was covered in the last video. So I thought I'd go into more depth about last week's nodes of the moon changing gates, since they're going to be here with us until August 21st. And Ra talked about the nodes being openings for the neutrino energy from outside of our solar system and to be representative of our environment. And the nodes are almost always retrograde. So this represents a shift from the first line of one hexagram into the sixth line of the previous hexagram. And the north node is in the 32nd, and the south node is in the 42nd. The 32nd energy is continuity, duration. The only thing that endures is change. And the 42nd, where the south node, is about growth, increase, the expansion of resources, which maximizes the development of full potential. And Ross said, in dealing with the 4232 nodes that we've been dealing with, this is a quote from him. He said, in dealing with the 4232 nodes, we've been dealing with in times when there's tremendous amounts of inconsistency and a lack of continuity in the general frequency. He spoke about that even with guidance, we can't avoid the impact. It's in the air. And because most humans, beings are not self, there's a tendency, even for people involved in human design, to forget that they're vulnerable to the program at every single level. Everyone's open centers can still take in the general imprint. And of course, the only way to not get caught up in this is to follow your strategy and authority. And the theme of the 4232 as nodes is about the potential to avoid failure and find successful growth. But it's also, as a binary, it means that we can find failure and no growth. This pressure comes around every 9.3 years because the nodal cycle is 18.6 years. So this is a time when we're going to find the resources or not, to find the continuity to enter into growth as an experience. And because this is something we have to work with over the next 9 years, because the south node is in the 42, and the 42 just doesn't give up. So what's entered into during this time period is going to be here for the next 9 years. So from now until August, it's going to be important to enter into things correctly. This is a window between this time period and August 21st. So anyway, no matter what these energies are conditioning you during the week, just remember this experience is about being a passenger that's riding in a vehicle that's driven by the magnetic monopole. So you enjoy the scenery, you let the vehicle take you where you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every single day we have is a blessing, no matter what the dramas are that are beckoning to distract us. We're all here just giving the performance of a lifetime on the world stage. Just take some time out to observe the play, observe your movie, as well as acting your part by remembering you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. So thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast is going to be on July 6th. It should be available on July 5th, when we're going to continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, or Blogger or YouTube. There's a New World Birth presences in each of those sites. And I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose. I'm going to be discussing the transits of August 2014 and providing some short 10 to 15 minute human design readings to the participants of the Earth Needs Rebels show on Truth Frequency Radio on Friday, August 1st. If you want to come on the show, they'll call you for free anywhere on the planet. Or if you want, you can just get into the chat room for Earth Needs Rebels on Truth Frequency Radio and send messages to Katie, and she'll get your information if you want to get a reading or you got a question or something of that nature. As always, I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. So if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I'd love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You will need to either be able to call me in Maine in the USA or connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. As always, but get a reading. That's a great way to make a donation and get something really wonderful for yourself. As always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time out to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. So thanks everybody. Hope to see you, connect with you in the radio show or in videos or a reading. But thank you. I do appreciate your attention to what I'm putting out there. So peace, everybody.